There is someone standing at the foot of my bed. I have not been home in 11 days. I am in a motel room outside Tucson, Arizona, with a door chain that is still latched and a deadbolt that is still thrown, and there is a man at the foot of my bed who is not supposed to be able to be here. By the end of this recording, you will understand how far I drove to get away from him, and why none of it worked. I started in Portland 11 days ago. I have slept in 6 different cities since then. I have crossed 3 state lines. I have switched cars and switched my phone and switched the name I check in under. He is still here. There is one detail in this story that I did not understand until tonight, and I'm going to tell you what it is. My name is Daniel. I am 39 years old. Until 11 days ago, I was a residential drafting tech in Portland, Oregon. I drew floor plans and elevations for a small architectural firm off Hawthorne. I lived alone in a 1-bedroom apartment on the 2nd floor of a converted house in the Brooklyn neighborhood. I had a 2016 Subaru Outback with 190,000 miles on it. I had 3 plants on the kitchen sill that I was for once not killing. I had a routine. On the night of June 7th, at 9 minutes past 12 in the morning, I came home from a late shift, parked the Subaru in my usual spot on the street, walked to the car to get my work bag from the passenger seat, and saw a face in the driver's side window. It was not my reflection. I want to be very clear about that. I was standing outside the car, looking in, and there was a face on the other side of the glass looking out at me. It was a man's face, pale. The eyes were the wrong size. One was bigger than the other, by enough that I noticed before I noticed anything else. The mouth was closed. The hair was dark and damp-looking, stuck to the forehead. It was pressed slightly to the inside of the glass, and where the cheekbone touched the window, the skin had gone white and flat, the way skin does when it presses against something. I dropped my keys. I remember the sound of them hitting the asphalt, because I have replayed the sound of them hitting the asphalt every single hour since. When I bent down to pick them up, I lost line of sight on the window for maybe 3 seconds, and when I stood back up, the face was gone. The car was empty, doors locked. I checked. I unlocked it and looked in the back seat, and under both row footwells and in the cargo area, and there was no one in my car. There was no one near my car. The street was empty. The neighbor's porch light was on across the way, and there was nobody on the sidewalk in either direction. I went upstairs. I locked the apartment door behind me. I sat on my own couch in my own living room, and I tried to talk myself into thinking I had imagined it. I am not a person who imagines things. I had not been drinking. I had not slept badly. I had drawn elevations for a guest house in Lake Oswego from 8 in the morning until 11:30 at night, and I had been thinking, on the drive home, about whether the client was going to push back on the cantilever over the garage, and that was all I had been thinking about. And then I had seen a face in my car window that was not my reflection. At 1:30 in the morning, I went to brush my teeth, and on the way to the bathroom, I passed my bedroom door, and I saw a shape standing at the foot of my bed. I did not get a good look at it. I want you to understand that. I have never in 11 days gotten a good look at it. I caught the silhouette of a man standing where the rug ends, between the dresser and the bed frame. His back was to me. He was wearing a long dark coat that hung down past the knees. He was not moving. He was not breathing in a way I could see. I stepped back out of the doorway. I did not yell. I did not run. I stood in my hallway, in my own home, and I tried to make a sound and could not. And after a few seconds I stepped back into the doorway, and the bedroom was empty. That is when I knew that the thing in my car window was in my house. I did not call the police. I did not call anyone. I went into the kitchen and I poured a glass of water and I drank it standing up. And then I went into the closet by the front door and I pulled down a duffel bag I had not used since a backpacking trip in 2019, and I packed it. I packed the duffel with 2 changes of clothes, a toothbrush, the charger for my phone, my passport, the manila envelope from the file cabinet that has my birth certificate and the title to the Subaru, and $120 in cash I had been keeping for emergencies. I put on my coat, I picked up the keys, I walked back out to the street. The Subaru was where I had left it. I did not look in the driver's side window. I unlocked it from the back. I got in the back seat. I climbed over the center console into the driver's seat without looking in the rear view mirror, and I started the car. I drove south. I did not have a plan. I drove south because south is where the freeways go from Portland, and because going north meant staying on I-5 through Seattle, and I did not want to be in a city. I took I-5 to Salem, then I-205 back to I-5, then I just kept going. I crossed into California a little after 4 in the morning. By the time the sun came up, I was past Mount Shasta, and I was so tired my hands had gone numb on the wheel. I made it to Reno by 11 the next morning. I had been awake for 27 hours. I pulled into a pilot truck stop off I-80 East. I parked the Subaru between two semis, all the way at the back of the lot. I turned the car off. I locked the doors. I climbed into the back seat and lay down on top of the duffel, and I closed my eyes, and I told myself I was going to sleep for 2 hours, and then I was going to figure out what I was doing. I want to tell you here that the truck stop felt safe. It did not. I was a man in his late 30s who had run out of his own apartment in the middle of the night because of a face in a car window. And there is no truck stop in America that feels safe when that is the sentence you are living inside of. But it felt safer than my apartment, and that was the only metric that mattered. I slept. When I woke up, the back of my neck was sweating and my mouth was full of cotton, and the sun was halfway across the windshield, and I had been out for almost 4 hours. The passenger seat was warm. I did not realize it at first. I sat up, I rubbed my face. I reached forward over the center console to grab the water bottle I had left on the passenger seat, and my hand touched the upholstery first. And the upholstery was warm, in the shape of a person who had been sitting there. I checked the dashboard. The engine was off. The air conditioning had not been running. The sun was on the driver's side of the car, not the passenger side. The seat was not warm from the sun. I unlocked the door and got out, and looked through the passenger window, and the passenger seat was empty. The water bottle was where I had left it, lying on its side. There was no one in my car. There was no one near my car. I checked the asphalt around the Subaru for footprints, and the asphalt was dry and clean and gave me nothing. I drove out of the pilot at 1 in the afternoon, and I did not stop again until I was past the Nevada-Utah line, which I gave up on around the time the gas needle was hovering at 1/4, and I realized I had not eaten in a day and a half. I pulled into a Wendy's in a town called Mesquite. I ate a double cheeseburger in the parking lot with the engine running. I called my landlord and left a voicemail saying there had been a family emergency in Boise, and I would be gone for at least 2 weeks, and please not to let anyone into my apartment. I called my office and left the same voicemail. I called my mother. My mother lives in Olympia, Washington. She is 68. She has rheumatoid arthritis and a cat named Buster, and I told her the same lie. She asked me 3 times if I was okay. I told her 3 times that I was. I did not tell her I was in Nevada. I did not tell her about the face in the window. After I hung up, I sat in the Wendy's parking lot for 10 more minutes, and then I drove down I-15 to Las Vegas. I want to explain why I chose Vegas. I chose Vegas because Vegas is the most crowded place a person can go in the entire region west of Denver. Vegas is at any given hour full of people. The Strip is full of people. The casinos are full of people. The cabs are full of people. The hotels have a person at every door checking key cards, and a person at every elevator bank, and a person on every floor pushing a housekeeping cart. There are surveillance cameras every 6 feet. There are guards. I really thought that the thing was an animal, that it hunted in quiet places, in empty residential streets, and empty truck stop lots, and that if I went somewhere with 200,000 human beings packed into half a square mile, it would not be able to find me, or if it could find me, it would not be able to get to me. I checked into a casino hotel on the south end of the Strip a little after 8 that night. I paid in cash. I gave them a fake last name. The desk clerk did not look up at me. I bought a phone charger from the gift shop and a bottle of water and a bag of pretzels, and I rode the elevator up to the 14th floor, and I went into my room and I locked the door and I put the chain on, and I sat down on the foot of the bed and I cried. I had not cried since I was 31 years old. I am telling you because I want you to understand what kind of week I was having. After about 20 minutes, I pulled myself together. I had ordered room service. I ate, I drank some water. I made a list of everything that had happened so far, in chronological order, on a piece of hotel stationery, because I needed to convince myself that I had not lost my mind. The list was 3 items long. I went down to the casino floor at 11. I did not gamble. I do not gamble. I went down because I wanted to be around the noise of 2,000 slot machines at once, is a specific kind of cover that you cannot find anywhere else. And after Reno, I needed to be inside that kind of cover. I bought a coffee at the Starbucks off the lobby. I walked the floor. I watched a pit boss watch a pair of women play craps. I let myself believe for a little while that I had gotten away. I was at the slot machines on the east side of the main floor, by the wall of windows that faced the parking structure, when I saw him for the second time. He was 8 machines away, sitting at a quarter slot, his back to the windows. He was facing me. He was wearing the long dark coat. His face was turned toward mine. I looked directly at him. He looked away. I want to be clear about that detail because it is the detail that broke something in me. He looked away. Not the way a person looks away when they have been caught staring. The way a person looks away when they know exactly what you're about to do, and they are letting you do it. I looked at the carpet. I counted to 5. I looked back up. He was 3 machines closer, still facing me, still wearing the coat. His head was tilted slightly to the right, and he had not moved any other part of his body. His face was still on his own face, in the sense that it had not become a different face. But the angle of the head was wrong. It was not the angle a net can hold without effort. I looked away. I counted to 5. I looked back up. He was 2 machines closer. The head was tilted the other way. The mouth this time was open. Not wide. Just open. The lips were apart and the teeth were not showing, and there was something dark behind the teeth that I could not see clearly because I was looking from 20 feet away. I walked across the casino floor with my coffee cup in my hand, and I did not look behind me. And I did not look at any of the machines I passed. And I did not stop for the elevator. I went to the stairwell, and I climbed 14 flights of stairs to my room, and I let myself in, and I locked the door, and I put the chain on, and I sat against the door on the carpet with my knees against my chest. And I did not move for 2 hours. I want to be clear about that too. He never knocked. He never tried the door. I never heard footsteps in the hall outside. I sat with my ear against the door for 2 hours, and I heard a couple arguing 4 rooms down, and I heard a vacuum cleaner on the floor above, and I heard the elevator stop on my floor twice, and both times someone got off and walked to a different room. He was not in the hall. He was somewhere, but he was not in the hall. I left the hotel before dawn. I walked out of the lobby with the duffel over my shoulder, and I did not check out. I left my fake last name on the room. The Subaru was in the parking structure, and I made myself walk to it without looking sideways, and when I got in, I did not check the passenger seat. I drove east on I-15 until I hit Flagstaff 6 hours later, and somewhere in those 6 hours, between Hoover Dam and the Arizona line, I decided to ditch the car. I had not slept. My eyes felt like they were full of sand. My hands had stopped trembling, and that scared me more than when they were trembling. In Flagstaff, I parked the Subaru in the long-term lot of a Hampton Inn off the I-40 service road. I left the keys on the front seat. I did not lock the doors. If someone wanted to steal the car, I wanted them to steal the car. I wanted the car to be on a different highway, going a different direction as fast as possible. I walked from the Hampton Inn to a Greyhound terminal that was a little under a mile away. I bought a ticket to Phoenix. I paid in cash. The ticket was $42. The Greyhound left at 3:40 in the afternoon. I had 2.5 hours to wait. I sat in the terminal on a plastic chair next to a woman with a child of maybe 4 who was eating Cheerios out of a Ziploc bag. The child kept looking past me and the row of chairs behind me, and looking back at the Cheerios, and looking past me again. I did not turn around. I did not let myself turn around. After about 10 minutes, the woman gathered up the child in the bag and they moved to a different row of chairs across the terminal. I stayed where I was. I told myself the child was looking at a vending machine. There was a vending machine behind me. I told myself this for 20 minutes. The bus boarded at 3:32. I got on. I sat in the window seat of the third row on the driver's side. I put the duffel between my feet. The bus pulled out at 3:43. I closed my eyes. I want to say I slept on the bus. I want to say I slept the entire way down through Camp Verde and Cortez Lakes, and the long pull through Black Canyon City, and the descent into the valley. I would not call what I did sleeping. I would call it not being awake. I was not aware of anything between Sedona and Anthem. The next thing I was aware of was the smell of diesel and the sound of the air brakes letting off, and the driver's voice saying we were at the Phoenix terminal. I sat up. My duffel was at my feet, where I had put it, I reached for it. The straps were on the wrong side. I put the duffel between my feet with the long strap to the left, against my left calf. The long strap was on the right side of my right calf. The bag had been picked up at some point during the 4.5-hour ride and put back down, rotated 180 degrees. I did not look behind me. I did not look across the aisle. I waited until almost every other passenger had filed off the bus. And then I picked up the duffel, and I walked off the bus, and I stood in the Phoenix terminal at 9 in the evening, and I tried to make my hands stop shaking long enough to dial a cab. I stayed in Phoenix for 3 days. I checked into a Motel 6 off the I-10 in the west part of the city, at a place where the parking lot opened directly onto an alley behind a U-Haul lot. I paid for a week in cash. The room cost me $61 a night. After 3 nights, I would have $111 left to my name. For 3 days, nothing happened. I want to tell you about those 3 days because they are the worst part of this story to remember. For 3 days, I almost believed it was over. I slept. The first night I slept 10 hours. The second night I slept 12. I ate at the Jack in the Box across the parking lot. I did not turn my phone on. I read the Gideon Bible in the bedside drawer of the motel room cover to cover because I had nothing else to read, and I am not a religious person, and I had no idea what else to do with the hours. I started to make plans. I thought maybe I could rent a room from someone in Tucson, work cash under the table for a few months, save up enough to drive to El Paso, and from there to somewhere I could disappear into more permanently. I thought by the third afternoon that I had outrun it. I want to say this clearly because I think it matters. I do not think it was hunting me during those 3 days. I think it was letting me believe I had won. On the 4th morning, I opened the bathroom door, and there was a man's wet handprint on the inside of the shower curtain. I had not taken a shower. I had not taken a shower in 2 days. The curtain had been dry when I went to sleep. I had checked it. The way you check things when you have been the way I had been for 9 days. The handprint was on the inside of the curtain. Whoever made it had been standing in the tub, with the curtain closed. The handprint was fresh. It was wet enough that a drop of water was still beading at the bottom of the wrist line. I did not pull the curtain back. I did not look in the tub. I closed the bathroom door and I walked back into the room and I picked up the duffel. And I picked up my jacket and I walked out of the motel room into the morning sun, and I did not stop until I was at the I-10 on-ramp standing with my thumb out. And I want you to understand that I am 39 years old, and I had never in my life hitchhiked before that moment. A man in a white Ford F-150 picked me up about 20 minutes later. He was probably in his 60s. He had a Diamondbacks cap on. He did not ask my name. He asked where I was going. I said Tucson. He said he was going as far as Casa Grande, and that was about halfway, and he could drop me at the truck stop where the pilot meets the I-8 split, and from there I could probably get another ride. I said thank you. I got in. He talked the whole drive. He talked about his grandson who was at ASU. He talked about how the monsoon was coming late this year. He talked about the price of feed. I do not remember what I said to him. I remember he was kind. I remember thinking, halfway through Maricopa County, that I was sitting next to the first human being I had been close to in 9 days, and that I was so grateful for him I might cry. I did not cry. I held it. He dropped me at the pilot near Casa Grande around 1 in the afternoon. I bought him a coffee. He laughed and said I didn't need to. I told him I needed to. He took the coffee. We shook hands. I watched him drive away. I stood at the on-ramp with my thumb out for another 40 minutes. A second man picked me up. Younger, maybe 25, driving a beat-up Toyota Tacoma with a dog in the back. He was going all the way to Tucson. He played country radio the whole drive and did not try to make conversation, which was what I needed. He dropped me off downtown at the Greyhound terminal a little after 4. I started walking. I had $81 left. I walked east away from downtown until I found what I was looking for, a low single-story motel painted a color that had been white 20 years ago and was now closer to yellow, with a hand-lettered sign that said weekly rates and a small office at the front with bars on the door. The sign over the office said, Sunrise Motel. There was a fly strip in the office window that had been there since the Carter administration. I went in. I asked for a room. The man at the desk did not look up from his portable TV. He asked for $45. He did not ask for ID. He did not ask my name. He slid a key across the counter, a real metal key on a green plastic diamond, and he told me the room was around the side, second door from the left, and the ice machine was broken. The room was 8 feet by 12. There was a bed against the back wall, and a small bathroom to the right of the bed, and a window in the front next to the door. The window had a heavy curtain pulled across it. The door had a chain and a deadbolt and a knob lock and a small brass peephole that I cleaned with the corner of my shirt before I looked through. I checked the room. I want you to know I checked everything. I looked under the bed. I looked in the bathroom, behind the curtain, in the tub, in the toilet tank, behind the door. I looked in the closet, which had 3 wire hangers in it and nothing else. I looked behind the curtain across the window. I looked behind the television. I locked the door. I threw the deadbolt. I latched the chain. I tested all 3. I sat down on the foot of the bed. It was 5:15 in the afternoon on my 11th day. I had $81 left. I had not eaten since the Jack in the Box that morning. The room smelled like Lysol and like something else that was not quite Lysol. I lay down on top of the bedspread with my coat still on, and within 10 minutes I was asleep. I woke up at 2:17 in the morning. I know it was 2:17 because I checked. There was a clock radio bolted to the bedside table, and the red digits read 2:17 a.m., and the clock was 9 hours fast or 3 hours fast. I do not know which, but it was the middle of the night, and I woke up because I heard a sound at the door. The sound was the chain. The chain was being lifted out of its slot by something on the inside of the room from the side of the door that I was on. I want to say I screamed. I did not scream. I want to say I jumped up and ran for the bathroom. I did not move. I lay on the bed with my eyes open, and I watched the chain rise out of its slot in the wall plate, in the dim red light from the clock radio, and I watched it swing forward and down, and hang against the door, the way a chain hangs when it has just been released. Then I heard the deadbolt. The deadbolt turned, slowly, from the inside, counterclockwise the way you unlock a door from inside a room. I heard the metal of the bolt slide back into the door frame and click into the open position, and I lay on the bed, and I watched the knob of the deadbolt rotate in the dark. Then I heard the knob lock. The knob lock is the button on the inside of the door handle, on a roadside motel like this one, that you press in and turn. I heard the button press. I heard it turn. I heard it click open. The door was now unlocked from the inside. I had been the only person in the room. I am the only person in the room. I am recording this on my phone now. I am sitting up against the headboard with my back against the wall and my phone in my hand, and I am whispering because there is someone standing at the foot of my bed. I did not see him walk in. The door did not open. The chain swung and the deadbolt turned and the knob lock clicked, and the door did not open. And now there is a man standing at the foot of my bed in the long dark coat. He is facing me. I cannot see his face. The light from the clock radio is on my side of the room, and his side is in shadow. I can see the shape of a head, and the line of a shoulder, and the front of the coat. I can hear him breathing. He breathes through his nose slowly. I can hear it. He has not moved since I started recording. He has been standing there for, I do not know, 11 minutes maybe. I want to tell you what I figured out tonight, because I told you at the beginning I would tell you, and I want there to be a record of it. I always thought he was following me. I thought he was tracking me, the way an animal tracks a scent, that there was something he was reading off me that I could not turn off. I thought if I drove far enough, or switched cars, or paid in cash, I could outrun the signal. He was not following me. I think, and I have had 11 days to think about this, I think he was already in every one of these rooms. He was in the slot in Vegas before I sat down at it. He was in the Greyhound seat behind me before I got on the bus. He was in the shower at the Motel 6 before I walked in. He was standing at the foot of this bed before I checked into this room. He is everywhere, in advance. The only thing I was choosing every time was which room I walked into. He was already there. I do not know what that means. I do not know what he wants. I do not think he wants my body, or my soul, or my life in any way I would recognize as wanting. I think, and I am only telling you this because I want there to be a record, I think he wants me to know that he is here. I think the only thing he has ever wanted, from the face in my car window in Portland to the shape at the foot of this bed, is for me to know that he is here, in every room I will ever walk into, for the rest of however long I have, and that there is nothing I can do about it. I want to say something now because I do not know how much longer I have to say it. If you are watching this, if anybody is watching this, please understand that you should not look for him. Do not try to figure out what he is. Do not try to find the room I am in tonight. Do not look at any window in your own home and try to see if there is a face on the other side of it. Because the second thing I figured out tonight, just now, the thing that made me start recording, is that he turned his head when I sat up. He is not facing the foot of the bed anymore. He is facing me. He has not moved his feet. He has only turned his head. His head is on the wrong side of his shoulders. I can see in the red light the line of his jaw against the shoulder of the coat, and the jaw is on the side it should not be on. And there is a sound. There is a wet sound, a small one, that he is making in the back of his throat, and I do not think it is a word, and I do not think it is a breath. And it has been getting a little louder for the last. He just took a step toward the bed. He just took another step. I am pressing send on this now. I want at least one person to know I made it this far before whatever is about to happen happens.